Hi, my name is Lisa Surkovich, and I've been a teacher for a very long time. In my 30 years as a classroom teacher and reading specialist, I have instructed my students through blended learning, informal learning, e-learning, personalized learning, project-based learning, and adaptive learning. I've taught whole language reading, guided reading, individualized reading, reading recovery, and leveled literacy reading. It seems like every year a new buzzword comes down the educational pipeline and we all jump on the buzzword bandwagon. But what we need to do as educators is learn to analyze, adapt, and utilize each new trend that comes along so that we can continue to instruct our students to the best of our abilities. Lately, we've been hearing an awful lot about the buzzword rigor. In Rigor, it's all the rage, but what does it mean? By Richard Lee Colvin and Joanna Jacobs. It states that rigor is a buzzword used from presidents to principals, billionaires to school board members, governors to teachers. Everyone seems to be promising rigor, demanding rigor, or deploring the lack of rigor in American schools. But what exactly is rigor? In Robin Jackson's co-author of How to Support Struggling Students and Never Work Harder Than Your Students and Other Principles of Great Teaching, it says that rigor is helping kids learn to think for themselves. That's an interesting idea, but it doesn't really tell us much. I've always been a big fan of those books written for dummies. So when I saw Barbara R. Blackburn's Beginner's Guide to Understanding Rigor, I thought this is for me. Blackburn defines rigor as when students learn at high levels. They're supported so they can learn at high levels, and they demonstrate learning at high levels. In one of my very first education classes, I learned about Bloom's taxonomy. Every teacher worth their salt knows about Bloom's taxonomy. It's basically a map to questioning strategies. It starts with remembering and moves through understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Basically, it means that higher level questioning will lead to higher level thinking. What a lot of school districts have done lately is to take Bloom's taxonomy and turn it into a rigor meter. The rigor meter that I'm referring to was developed by the Clinton County Public Schools in Georgia. I'm a visual learner and I really like this approach. In Academic Rigor, The Core of the Core by Judy Brunner, it states that research has shown that students do not want to sit in classrooms where rigor is minimal, engagement is limited, and nothing of substance is learned or discussed. So to make it more valuable to my students, I need to look at my lesson plans and kick it up a notch. I'm going to show you today a simple reading lesson that I just did with my first graders and take you through the levels on the rigor meter. We just read a book, The Three Pigs, based on the classic fairy tale, The Three Little Pigs. At a level 1, I might ask a basic question, like what did the second little pig build his house of? Or what did the wolf say to the pigs when he wanted to get in? Those are good questions, particularly for struggling readers, but they're just not enough. So let's kick it up a little bit, and at level 2, I might say, what would you have said to a wolf that was trying to get into your house? Or how might you have helped a pig to build a better house? These are not one-word answers, so they're a little more difficult. They're a little more rigorous. In level 3 on the rigor meter, it states that children should be able to identify the critical stages in a piece of literature. Well, for first graders, The Three Little Pigs is a classic piece of literature. It's kind of like a high school student reading Shakespeare. So I had my students make a little flip chart or flip story showing the beginning, the middle, and the end of this classic fairy tale. They had to illustrate it, and they had to be able to basically summarize and put into their own words the development of the story. This was definitely more rigorous for them. Level 4 would require a little more investigation or creativity. You might have the students work together as a group to build a new house for the Three Little Pigs, or to make a plan to keep the wolf away the next time he comes around. In conclusion, I'd like to say that as I first started learning about rigor, I thought, oh great, this is something more that my struggling students have to learn. And I really worried about that. But as I've learned more about it, I found out that the majority of good teachers I know are already doing this. It just takes a little more time and effort to check your instruction and make sure that we really are challenging our students to become true thinkers. It's not always going to be easy. It is called rigor after all. But as you start to learn more about it, you'll find out that rigor is really right.